Welcome back, everyone. Vic Akers, and the transfer window is once again back. Joined with this time is Adam. How are you, Adam?
Hello, Matt. Yes, great to be back on the Vic Akers Wonderland podcast. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks. So a happy new year to you and a happy new year to everyone who's listening at the moment. It's good to have you on board. Yes, it's been a good few weeks. Good to be back on the pod. As you can maybe watch from YouTube, I'm now back at work. I have escaped my parents' attic and I'm now back in the in the realm of work, sadly. But that doesn't mean there has not been plenty to discuss in the world of transfers, and discuss we shall.
Yes, and lots of Christmas presents were opened pretty early. Some of them have been opened a little bit late as it's come to transfer windows, but we should just quickly mention that Lottie isn't with us tonight. A bit of issues with her internet, but hopefully she'll be back with us on Friday. So we can hopefully get in her opinions on some of this stuff further down the line. But we'll go in with, first and foremost, Caitlin Marquise is back after her loan spell from Bristol City. She actually did her ACL. I don't know where I'm getting this ACSL. So just quickly,
Super ligament.
This is twice that I've said ACSL. I have no idea where I'm getting this now. It's an ACL that she did. She went to go and collect the ball, and she actually collided with the post, and that during the game couldn't carry on. They've just both Arsenal and Bristol have assessed the situation. Arsenal have said, because we've dealt with the ACL issue, would imagine that it'll make more sense for her to come back for the recovery.
We're pretty trained up and experienced when it comes to dealing with ACL injuries. It's devastating for her. She's only played a handful of games for Arsenal, then obviously went out of loan when Sabs came in. I think if you're being, I would say, obviously harsh, but maybe reading between the lines, I don't think Marquez has a long-term future at Arsenal. And I think the Bristol loan should have been a good loan for her, but this has just been devastating. And it's a shame because she's a really positive personality in the team. We've seen it in some of the media stuff they've done, the way she's communicated with the fans as well. She's been a real positive force within the group. We can only wish her a speedy recovery. It's left Bristol in a bit of an issue. They've had a lot of issues with goalkeepers this season. They've had quite a few bad injuries. They have, I believe, now signed another goalkeeper.
Yes.
So yeah, but that's Marquise's. I know, is it Marquise? That's Kaylin's season.
I say Marquise, but
whatever
floats your boat.
Yeah, Kaylin's season is over, and she'll be back in Arsenal, and we wish her a speedy recovery. Problem is this injury will carry over into next season now, and how that will affect her. And I imagine what's the best way to describe it? She won't play again until, say, January next year, because there's no way people are going to sign her while she's recovering from an ACL injury. So I think she'll be probably kept to the club for another year, maybe loaned out next January, and then probably moved on after that. And it's a shame because she deserved a better run of the team at Bristol. That would have been a good run for her. So wish her all the best. But she joins Tara Goldie and Laura Wienreuter in the injury room. But Leah Williamson is on her way back.
Yes, that's always the good news. We've seen that she is actually running out on grass, which is good news. I think we've estimated that she'll be back around March time based on both Viv and Beth's ACLs. So people put on averages of the ACS. I've done it again. ACL injuries, and both Beth's and Viv's were around that 10 point something months. So that's 10 and a so month, 10 and a week or two.
If I was guessing, I don't think it's going to be this month. I would say she may come back next month, maybe February, maybe late February, but I can't see her starting games until March. I think she'll pick up a few minutes off the bench. And I just hope there isn't this mad rush to get her in the team get her in that defensive line and in like a panic. We have, like we have with Miedemar, we have to ease her in slowly. But it's going to be a big thing when she starts playing football again. But like it was when Beth Mead came off the bench against Aston Villa. It's going to be a very special moment when she sets foot on that pitch again, and we have to make sure that she is in physically, mentally in the right state to do that, because we don't want to go through this all over again for another year. So can't wait when that day happens. It's not far away now.
I think what also helps as well with obviously a bit of a tangent at the front, which picking on Leah, is that she's a very realistic person. She's not gonna sit there and be very much wanting to be back on the pitch. She'll do it in her own time. She won't. She won't want to be like, oh, I want, say, pick a certain game that she wants to be back for. Say, for example, the Reading game. She wants to be playing minutes in that game, and that's it. She'll probably just be like, well, I'll get there when I get there. Exactly. She's a very busy person as well. That kind of helps. I suppose that helps in a way as well.
She's busy playing piano. She's busy playing piano with the BBC orchestra. She'll be fine.
Have you seen that Christmas video of her getting the piano as well? That was quite good from Arsenal.
Yes,
the Secret Santa.
Very good. Some very good moments in there.
Anyway, we've gone off a tangent.
Yeah. What other signings have happened? What other news have we off the mark?
Signings. So, yes, Katrine Cole and Gio, according to Tim Stillman of Arsburg, basically the man who is responsible for a lot of the Arsenal women's news out there. They're both looking to go out on loan. I'm interested to know where they're going to go. I have a few teams that I could probably see them going to. Gio has been linked with Tottenham. She was meant to go to Tottenham, and we know that if you go Arsenal, Tottenham, you look at some of the other players that have done it, you don't come back at all. And I think that's one of the reasons why Gio didn't want to go to begin with. If I'm honest, if I see Gio going anywhere, I could see her if she wanted to be in the WSL, I could see her most likely at an Everton at the moment. They are.
Well, she was there briefly. I mean, did she score?
She did actually, ironically, against Tottenham.
The only goal she scored was, and she finished for Arsenal. She very nearly scored against Spurs last year. Hit the bar quite late on. It's the closest she's come, sadly. I could see Everton snapping her up if they wanted, because I think we'll come on to Everton in a bit, but you know Everton more than I do, and I think they are a bit short player-wise. So the idea of maybe bringing Gio in, although she will be a bit rusty because she hasn't been playing any football because of the size of our squad, I think Everton would be a good move for Gio. Try that loan again. When we had the injury crisis last season, it did throw things a bit of a panic, and for reasons of numbers, we needed Gio back in the squad. I don't think it greatly benefited her, and I don't think it greatly benefited Arsenal. I think there's this feeling around Gio that she's this amazing player about to break through, but we've never seen it, either because she's not fit or because Gio hasn't played her, and we have to respect there must be a reason why he doesn't want to play her. There's a lot of mystery and potential around Gio. I think she's probably the player with the greatest potential, because maybe we don't know what she is, but just because she comes from Barcelona, people think she's probably got a lot behind her. And I've heard she did great things when she was at Levante. I think Gio Everton makes sense. The other one is Katrine Mollakul. We've seen a bit more of her. She has actually scored a goal for Arsenal. I think she's a very talented midfielder. I think we've seen in the Continental Cup games. I mean, I was at Southampton. Well, as were you, and she looked great. She looked really good in the middle of the park. The way she, the ball distribution and retention and so forth. But then I thought against Spurs in the 3-3 draw, not the other one, I thought she looked a bit shorter. I think there's a level. She's such a young raw talent, and she is a talent, and she will become a really good midfielder. But she's not a really good midfielder yet. And I think you're right, alone would do well. And I've heard the name West Ham thrown around. A lot of fans think that maybe to go there would do her well. And I think the important thing with both Gio and Mollakul is game time. They have to be in a loaned at a club where they're going to play. I think one of the big issues was at Everton with Gio is she hardly played because she was working her way back from an injury. I mean, and then by the time she was fit, we took her away again. So yeah, and London and for Monaco, West Ham, not Spurs. I mean, like I said, Spurs is definitely for all Arsenal players. Um, you look at Schneiderbeck, you look at Manu Bucci, Emma. Yeah, once you go there, that's it. Yeah, you're not coming back, and that is a shame. So we'll see. We'll see the markets. We're oversubscribed, as we know, with the team. Gio is the one that stopped playing because of it. If we get those two players out on loan, get so much in development on them, frees up a slot, we can get someone in. And I think we do need to get one or two more players in.
And just on that, where would you like to see Katrine go? I'm trying to think of teams that could benefit from
West Ham is the one is my
West
pick.
Ham. Okay.
Just West, yeah. Or maybe, I mean, Championship? Would it be?
I think the Championship, it would be a great one for her as well.
Crystal Palace,
I would even probably suggest Southampton because they are a very good team, and she would slot in pretty well. Do you think? Yeah. From what you saw,
or Charlton, Crystal Palace, teams local to Arsenal. So in London-based clubs in the Championship, I think could be good. But I think at the Championship, you would definitely get game time and you would definitely excel. But the trade-off would be that you may not be pushed as much as you are on the WSL. And I think in a team like, I'd say West Ham, but as a collective of a team that is or Leicester, say Leicester as another one, but a team where you're not the leaders, you're the chase in the pack, you're the ones in the tussle, trying to make sure you avoid the relegation, see if you can get a scalp against top. You are the underdogs, and I think that will be a level of difficulty that you'll consistently play at. But it won't be disastrous if she doesn't, if she messes up, because she's playing at a club where at the level where it doesn't so much matter. Whereas if we do that, let's say in an Arsenal game against Chelsea, it is disastrous because that's the season on the line. So it'll be a team where she can play her game, make mistakes, and learn from them and become a better player. So yeah, I could a mid-table. Liverpool could be another one. We're talking about Gio and Everton, maybe. It is, yes, it's further away, but it's that kind of level I think she'd do very well at. And Matt Beard's a very good coach.
And actually, speaking of Matt Beard as well, because of how Liverpool are, he has tended to pick the elder players. I could see her linking up very well in that midfield with, say, a Shanice van der Sanden.
Well, there's experienced players there that would definitely have a lot of knowledge to impart on her. So I think any WSL club that would pick up Katrine Monaco on loan, especially if you're a bit short of numbers. I mean, we know Everton are as well. If you're short of numbers in the midfield and you want a young, raw talent to shine on occasion, I think you would have a, try to get the words out. You do very well to have Katrine Monaco. You'd have a very good player there. And I look at players like Jess Park, who was at Everton, had a great loan spell at Everton. I think there's no reason why Katrine can achieve something similar. And then when she comes back in next season, she'll be much closer to the first team. Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. So while we're talking about all these players, some of them have been making the trip over to Portugal for some warm weather training. So Kaylin, oddly enough, we talked about Kaylin. Kaylin has been seen with her with the squad and the cover on her leg just to make sure that her knee's all right and everything. However, there was a fox on the run, shall we say, as
that was so smooth, Matt. What a segue that was. Yes, there was a suspicious fox just spotted in the back of shot. Yes, Arsenal fans, they do not miss. If you give them a weakness, if you give them an inch, a glimpse, a half, spot, they will pick it out in a heartbeat. And fair play to the Arsenal detectives. Yes, Emily Fox. It was revealed, I think it was just after the North London derby defeat.
Yes.
A bit of a second there. So this was a bit of a pick me up. Emily Fox has come over from, I think, North Carolina Courage in the NWSL.
I've got it down as Chicago Red Stars.
Oh, okay. Well, she's come over from the NWSL. I do correct me if I'm wrong. I think she played at the Tar Heels. No, North Carolina Tar Heels, wasn't it? So she's a graduate from North Carolina. So she's a graduate from North Carolina Tar Heels, where of course she played with Lottie Moy and Alessia Russo. So she's already in sync with the rest of some of our team members already. And yes, she's a fullback and can play left and right back. Just played both. She believes she plays right back for the national team, but has actually played on the left at club level. Sounds like a very, very good signing. People tout her as one of the best right backs in the world, which bodes well. And we should obviously caveat this. I'm probably jumping ahead a bit here, but we should probably come both at the same time. Noah. The reason why she's coming in is Noah Marriott sadly left, and she was a very good right back. I mean, let's just caveat that right now, which is not like saying that she was poor and had to move on. I think the writing was on the wall when you play Katie McCabe's right back ahead of you, and the other right backs out with an ACL. She came in when our defence was a bit of a mess, stabilised the right back slot. She was a very, very, very good defender. But I think the key thing here of Emily Fox is I think Emily Fox offers more in attack. I think Noelle Marriott is a very competent defender. I think Emily Fox gives us a bit more certainly pace, direct dribbling, running forward. I think she'll offer us like an analog, sort of an equivalence of McCabe or Catley, what they offer when they move to left back, the overlapping runs, intense dribbling. So I think that's something to keep an eye out for. We should add, her announcement has not been made official. Also have not declared the signing is done. But the fact that she was spotted in a Getty's image, uploaded after the training photos were done for the day, and then such photo was very quickly removed from the site. I think about maybe 10, 20 minutes after it went viral. They very quickly put the site, the damage has been done. I mean, be under no illusions. They see what we post. They see what we're writing. They see what they're doing. They see what we're talking about. They won't respond. They won't interrupt, but they see it. And so they know obviously what's happened. And I've no doubt that when they do the big announcement video and they do the interviews, this is something that'll come up and we'll have a laugh about. And it was very funny. But yes, it bodes well that we are ever signing. And we spoke over earlier about us being oversubscribed. Noelle Marriott's departure does make room now for Emily Fox to come in. And hopefully we get an announcement soon and we will hopefully be able to see her play soon. Can't wait.
Just on Emily Fox as well, sort of more background information. In 2021, she was draft pick number 1 for Racing Louisville. If you actually do have a look on YouTube, there's a lovely video by US Soccer. A bit explains her a lot about what she is or how she plays. She's very pacey, she's committed, and she's determined. And essentially, that's seen her rise through the ranks at times, and she's always looking to improve. And that's a player that you kind of want in your team to begin with. And I'm looking forward to seeing how she does. Obviously, it's not official, as Adam, you've covered really well.
Yeah. Should have said previous club was North Carolina Courage. Our good friends at Wikipedia have confirmed. So yeah, it's Racing Louisville and then North Carolina Courage, and hopefully soon Arsenal.
So you didn't get it wrong. You just missed
I
the order.
right. I was pretty sure. Yeah, can't wait. I can't wait to see. We should add this is in terms of American players. Obviously, with Tobin Heath before, and then we had also a certain Heather O'Reilly, who also came from Tar Heels, and I believe works at Tar Heels now. So the Arsenal influence there has grown, and but I hope this is an American signing that does work in the WSL. I think if you look at maybe some previous Americans coming over here, I'm not sure how many of them fully shine to the extent that we see that, like some of the Dutch players like Van Donk and Miedemar, or the Australian players like Sam Kerr and Caitlin Ford have really taken the league by storm and been amazing. I can't think of many American players who have taken their brilliance from the NWSL and carried it over to the WSL. And I hope that this Emily Fox could be a player that sets it alight. We shall see.
So, as you've already mentioned, Noelle Marriott has officially left for Aston Villa.
Yeah,
it's sad
gone.
News.
It's sad news. She's much loved. I think Aston Villa have got a very competent fullback. Came from Wolfsburg, Champions League winner. In fact, I think she won the Champions League playing as left back, so she's playing on the wrong side of the fence and did very well. I thought she was going to be our long-term right back for quite a few seasons, which just shows how quickly things have changed. The moment Wienreiter came in and offered, I think, Wienreiter offers more in attack than maybe Maritz did. Maritz, I think, has always been a very stable, steady defender. I was saying to some friends about this. I think she's one of those. She goes invisible, but not because she's like disappears from the game, but everything she does is just so competent. Like you rarely see her make a mistake or make a gaffe. It is just sensible, safe defending. You don't panic when she's on the ball when she's trying to defend because she knows she's got it sorted. But she never does anything. I'm saying exciting. That sounds quite harsh, but like Wienreiter scored a great goal against Man United. Sadly, but she offers a lot of pace down the wings, attacking, getting across thing. Maritz, whenever you have a corner, Maritz is the player on the halfway line because she is the defender. That is what she is, and she's been great. But I think Jonas wants a bit more from his defenders than just really good defenders. He wants someone who can be the extra player when you're getting the players forward. He's on about the high press, pushing people forward. He wants to have probably 6 players, pushing on. That's why you have McCabe pushing on. It's why you have Steph Catley pushing on. I just don't think Maritz offered that. And she was good for us in the second half of the season, especially when we went deep in the Champions League and Wienreiter was ruled out the last few games. She, did a good. She's been a good servant for the club. Had a great chant, which we shall miss singing in the North Bank. But she goes with all her best wishes, and I think in Aston Villa, who have struggled a bit defensively this season, especially late on in games, they could see a lot of late goals. And I think a player of Maritz's experience and talent, I think they've done very well to acquire her, and she'll be playing alongside the likes of Anna Patton and Jordan Nobbs, ex-Arsenal players. So she will be amongst friends, and I think Aston Villa have done very well to acquire her, and I think she's going to do very well there. So yeah, best of luck, Maritz, and thank you for an amazing 3 and a bit season.
Just from me as well is that I was always calling her the Nacho Monreal. By that I meant she was always very consistent, and
100%.
as most of the time when you go through the injury issues that we've had, or you need someone to be that calm in the defense when you like the main. Let's throw the semi-final at the Emirates in there because it was very, very crazy. She kept a level head. Obviously, she came off for Laura, and unfortunately, Laura then got the ACL.
Injured, yeah. I would say she's one of the most underrated defenders in the league. That's the way I put it. No one talks about her, but that's not because. But that's because she does everything, no fuss, no muss, just cleans up and moves on. I don't feel when I see Noel Moritz at right back, I go, fine. Yeah, fine. Yeah, 100%. Sorted. And I wish her the best. Villa, I think she's going to do very well at Villa. I think they will have a good second half of the season. And other signings pending, obviously.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Villa actually defend a lot better than we have seen with Noel because of her experience as well. I mean, I think she's only just in her late 20s now, and that's gonna help them in the long run because that's about 3 or 4 years added to Villa's defence, alongside, as you mentioned, alongside Anna Patton as well. Villa are looking for the future now as well. They're going to have a huge team in the future if they stick together.
If they can sit together, because last season they were brilliant and they should have been doing better this season, and hopefully they can fix that. I should add, if we're going to talk about Noah Maritz and Arsenal, never forget her staring down. I think it was Nadia Nadim in that PSG game. I think it was one of the first games for Arsenal. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant moment. Thanks, Noel.
I didn't realise that was her first game because oddly enough, I was trying to find that game and no one could find it anywhere, and it just appeared on a weird random website and that people were able to watch it. But I didn't realise that was her first game. But
it's one of her first. It was either her first game or one of her first because it was the summer her and Catley came over. And a few others. So it was pretty much thrown together. Try and beat PSG in the Champions League quarterfinals. I think you can all imagine how that went.
with transfer news, it all comes about where shall we go next? Let's go
Well,
to.
I could think of another player we could talk about, Arsenal player who's been in the news. But we can, or maybe we can move on to if you got another one you want to talk
Go
about.
on then. What are you
Well,
going to say?
I thought we could talk about your favourite player in the world, Leah Velti. We should maybe touch on a rumour. It is a rumour at this moment, but it was dropped by Atta Sports that Leah Velti may be looking for pastures new. Real Madrid was the player quoted in the tweet. People were very quick to dismiss this rumour. Which I do get because Velti is a much loved player, which is obviously one of your favourite players, Matt. I mean, if anybody should talk about how great she is, I would defer to you. But she's a superb midfielder. She's been part of the partnership with Little, has been the bedrock of this Arsenal team for the last few seasons. We spoke earlier about Noah Marriott. You see Leah Velti on the team sheet in midfield. Yeah, fine. Leah Velti in midfield, I'm fine with that. I know that she will. Midfield, she'll hoover up the loose ball, she'll keep the team out, and then she'll ping her beautiful passes, left foot, right foot, balls in behind, keep the attacks going. I have full confidence when she's in the team. I think she's a brilliant part of our team, and we are a weaker team when she is absent. But the rumour is that she might be looking. Real Madrid is one of the clubs apparently in talks, and we have to say these are talks. And it would be a shame to lose her. But she has given us plenty of years of service. I think she came, I think it was 2018. I think she came around that time, so 2017, 2018. She's been on for quite a few seasons. And I should add, I unfortunately do have confidence in this rumour. So I don't think it's something that should be dismissed out of hand. But I also think that if it is going to happen, it's not going to happen in the winter. I think you'd only leave in the winter if you really absolutely, I can't stay here anymore. A bit like Noel Marriott. Noel Marriott knew I'm not going to play. She should be playing first. She should be the first name on the team sheet. She's a first team player. She's not a squad player. She's that good. She knows she's not a first team player anymore. Please, can I leave? And go, okay, fair enough, you can go. I don't think Leah Velti, is that like, I want to sever ties and get out of here. I think she says when she signed her extension early last summer that she loves this club, she loves the fans. So I think if a move does happen, I think it would happen in the summer. So I think this is something that's going to probably roll, sadly, a bit like Vivian Miedema in her last year. We all remember how, was she going to go to Barcelona? Was she going to stay? I think this is going to be one of those, sadly, that's going to roll through the season. Maybe we'll hear whispers of more. But I sadly, if I was a betting man, I would think this will be Velti's last season at Arsenal. It's a shame because she only just signed a new contract with us. So we've got to enjoy these last few months. And if it does come that she decides to leave the club and go elsewhere, I say we give her the biggest send-off possible because I think she's been an absolute legend for this club, a real servant. We'll obviously wish her all the best. But we've still got, I don't think she's going to leave in January. I think she'll still be with us come February. And I think we're just going to enjoy every moment that comes between now and the end of the season.
When you do think about these, I did automatically say I don't, because no one else was shouting it about. There was no other sources. It was only coming from Atta at the time. I don't dismiss Atta because they do have some great journalists working for them, but there was no one actually saying it's from this member of the team. It was just, as you said, from Atta, which is kind of where
it's weird that it's not come elsewhere. No, this is the only thing against it. It's normally when there's a rumour, there are other journalists who will follow up. We're going to talk about some other rumours in a bit, like the recent news with Chelsea and Everton, which we might fall on to next. That's been confirmed by quite a few journalists. It's not just been one source. So there is an element of suspicion. If it is just one source, we would say, though, this is, the source, I believe, is credible. And maybe it's something they've been doing well to keep under wraps until they've posted it very recently. I think if it is indeed true, and I'm sure there are other journalists who've maybe been caught cold by this, are going to do some more digging. We have to be careful with all these rumours because sometimes it is just agent talk, rather than the players. It's the agent trying to facilitate a move rather than clubs being actually interested. I think you've got to be very careful with what the truth is somewhere between the two. There's a player I think we could talk about. When it comes to agents and stuff, I think there is a player we can absolutely talk about in a bit. So, yeah, I think this is going to be one of these rumours where it's just watch this space. I don't think this is something that's going to go away. And I think as the season progresses, watch what happens here. I think it'll be interesting.
I'm with you on this. I don't think this is going to happen now. I think it's come out now, so that it probably happens in the summer. I'm going to be honest. Leah Volti's 30. Not in a bad way. Experience is sometimes good, sometimes it's bad. I mean, just look at what happened last season with Jodie Taylor, etc.
Yeah.
But there are times where it does come back. You look at Liverpool. Liverpool got Gemma Bonham, for example, last January, and now she's the shield of that Liverpool defence. There's no stuff. There's not really much that gets past them anymore compared to what happened last year. But I think Liz very well loved. She's one of the top players that probably, if you see a lot of shirts around whether it's the Emirates or around Meadow Park, Leah Volti's up there as one of the top 5, top 6 maybe.
Definitely one of the top 5 shirts. Yeah, very, very popular with the fans. Very popular.
She'll go with
a lot of everything. Unless she goes to Chelsea or Man United, and they will hate her forever. No. But yeah, she will go with our blessing. We will love her forever.
I wouldn't be surprised if she does end up at Real Madrid, because you look at Real Madrid as well. They want to close the gap on Barcelona, and Barcelona just I'm trying to use it without using the levels, because
they're at a level of playing which is beyond everyone in the league, because they have elevated themselves to a point where they are just too good for the league.
I would say Barcelona are playing at 200%, whereas other teams are only playing at 100. Well, maybe
80, 90, 100. Yeah.
Real Madrid probably playing about 95% at the moment, because Caroline Weir's not there. But if they can get the top talent in, I mean, they've been pinching a few WSL players from City over the last couple of transfer windows. I wouldn't be surprised if they do decide we need to pick from other teams to get that player. I wouldn't be surprised if she does go. I wouldn't be surprised if it was I'm sorry, I'm going to forget the division now. It's the Spanish division, first division.
Oh, the Liga F.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she does go there. It's warm weather, close to Switzerland, and she can get a fresh start. And it wouldn't be anything against her. I don't blame it. I don't think anyone would blame her.
I think any European club, if you mean talk about Switzerland, I mean the Bundesliga would be ideal on that front. Another one. She would, if she chose to leave Arsenal, there would be no end of clubs who would want to sign up a player of her experience and her talents. So I think she will go on and be just as successful as she has been at Arsenal. She will continue to be wherever she goes. And well, she's going to go with. It would be nice if she rounded off with another goal. We haven't had many, and only the 2. You were there for one of them. So yes. Hopefully we'll get at least, if this is to be her final dance, let's hope she finishes it with one more screamer. Would be a nice way to sign off.
That is one thing that does worry me as well. As you look at some of these players, they've been in the squad for a long time, and apart from the first title that they've won is that WSL title, Conti Cup title.
Yeah, it's for most of them. I mean, that's what a lot of the Australian players say. This is the first title we've ever won, it's the Conti Cup, and we've come close. Unfortunately, there's been this team called Chelsea who's been in the way every time we try to win a trophy. They always seem to just nudge ahead of us, and thankfully we nudge ahead of them on that day. But it does show it's a very difficult league to win trophies, very difficult. And Chelsea have that iron grip on the league. So if you're signing for a club that's not Chelsea, you have to bear in mind that there is every chance that you'll do amazing for the season. It's got plenty of goals, do plenty of great things, and you will come away with nothing. And that is just the reality of the league at the moment. You have to be so good when that crucial Chelsea game comes around. And if you get past that, then you have a chance. They are in the words of the Matrix, they are the gatekeepers, Chelsea. They are holding all the keys. They are guarding all the doors. To be successful in the cup competitions and league, they are the team you have to overcome. And that's something you have to take into account when you sign for a Man City or a Man United or an Arsenal and other clubs.
So from one area of London to another, Ben Jacobs has been the main source of this story that Natalie Bjorn of Everton is going to Chelsea. This is the rumor. It's not 100% done yet. This is a huge transfer because Everton, it's £100,000. So a huge transfer market, money that brings in a lot of money that Everton can use. However, it also dampens what Everton can do now because Ricky Saveka has retired because of a heart issue, and Nico Sorensen has also retired due to falling out of love with the game.
Yeah,
bit of an odd one because both of them were around 20. Well, both of them were around 26, 27. But when these things happen, you kind of have to look at it and think what's going to happen now, because potentially they could be in a relegation scrap.
They are at the moment 7th, aren't they? So they are just wavering on mid-table, but they are only 6 points off the bottom. 11 points, just 6 off the 5 that Bristol have got. So 2 defeats and they could be in the mire. I don't watch Everton play as much as yourself, Matt. I understand this is a big. I think is she a defensive midfielder, the role she plays?
So she can play centre back. She can play as a defensive midfielder, and she can also play as a right back.
She's quite versatile across the pitch. Then, yeah, from what I understand, it's big money. Real Madrid were also interested in her, and there was a lot of money circulating. But Chelsea, it appears, have stolen in. I'm quite confident this deal will go through. I think it is only a matter of time of dotting the I's, crossing the T's. I think she will come over this winter. Again, I haven't seen her much play. I've only heard good things, so I'll let you, Matt, to explain. Kind of player are Chelsea getting their hands on?
They're getting their hands on what would be a very key player for Everton. Essentially, she's one of those players that you look at, and she is one of those leaders on the pitch. Everton are going to miss her a lot, and I think the one problem is that you look at some of these players that have been not particularly in certain teams, but you look at the likes of, I would say probably Megan Finnegan's probably most likely going to stay at Everton now. But if someone was to come in for her, say a Chelsea or City or a United, I think perhaps she'll probably look at it. But again, I don't blame Everton, because the problem is that with the Conti Cup, you got the issue of you're always ended up against City and United, and because of that, there's no chance you're going to qualify. So your only real opportunity to get some sort of silverware is the FA Cup, and even then, there's no guarantee because it's the luck of the draw.
They did get to the final. We should say they did get to the final and were very close against Man City in the final. That was probably their best stab. The best opportunity was it 2020? Was it the final? 2021?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was the carryover final, wasn't it? That was their moment if they were going to do it.
No, West Ham as well, when their first season WSL as well, they nearly did it as well. So it's not impossible, but just on recent performances, it's always been Man United, Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea. It's one of those four always in that final. So if you can get all four of them teams sort of playing each other early doors, it opens the door a little bit for the other teams.
It does.
But which kind of worked out in some ways for Manchester United last season, but we ended up getting runners up. But we're getting away from the point now.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's head.
What was you say with the Everton one? They got £100,000 now to spend. Do you think they'll be able to buy a replacement of a caliber of the Beyond's caliber? Will they be able to get a replacement for it in time this winter, or are they going to risk going to the second half of the season badly exposed in the midfield, because that could spiral their season if they've got a big hole in the defence?
I would imagine that they'll be looking, for players as much as possible. I think realistically that you can, because of the FA Cup ruling that you had to have players eligible from last Saturday, which was not why Noel Moritz was announcement was on that Saturday. So so that it's in time for the FA
right.
Cup.
That's an interesting caveat to say, because that means if the Fox sign does come through, she won't be available for Watford.
No, she won't. But she would be available for the Everton game. So I would imagine that over the next week they will be trying to look and try and find some sort of players. I think they would have had they. I think Saveka would have been the more of the damaging one, because it's the fact that she's been forced to retire. So I would imagine that's why I've suggested that Everton might look at Gio as a potential to come in, because it's a loan, 6 months, and hopefully she can do it.
Maybe they'll sign both. Maybe they'll sign both her and Cool, because that's 3 departures, isn't it? That's 3 departures before the new season, effectively the next one of season, but the second half of the season begins, and it's not a new season. Good grief! Yeah, that's 3 departures over the winter period. That's a hole that Badding is plugging. So if it might. They did a lot of loan signings last season. Maybe they'll have to do it again. And maybe Katrine Mollacall could be could maybe fill the void that Beyond leaves.
I'm sure their finances have something to do with it as well. But
they are shaky at the moment. I mean, we've all seen what's happening with the men's team. We've had the points deduction. One hopes that doesn't impact the women's team, but who knows how bad their accountants have been run.
It's different accounting departments. Let's just say that the men have different ones from the women. We don't know what the budget is for the women. That's the problem. We don't get that until the summer. As a Swiss Ramble, who does an excellent job, lets everyone be known. But anyway, let's carry on with London. West Ham. Oh, West Ham. Which one should we go for first? Should we talk about the?
I was going to do a sort of a West Ham Chelsea double, because there's 2 big news that's come from it, and it's with Sam Kerr and Christy Lewis. Mixed fortunes for the pair of them, sadly. So Christy has been signed by West Ham. Is it permanent or is it on loan?
It does say undisclosed. I am looking at the Guardian website.
I think it might be a long-termish loan. I think it's a brilliant signing. Experienced forward, American, played highest level, for the country. Played in the NWSL, and I am very amazed that West Ham have managed to attract a player of this sort of caliber, because this is the sort of player I'd expect to turn up at, say, Man City, like I think it's her sister. I think it was Sam Lewis. Played there with Rose Lavelle a few seasons ago. Very surprised to see a star NWSL player turn up at West Ham. It just seemed a bit odd. I think West Ham have panicked. I think the West Ham have looked and realised. I think they're actually tied. I think they're joint bottom, aren't they, in the league? So they are on 5 points, same as Bristol. They've just realised there's a good chance they could be relegated here, and I think they've broken glass, hit the emergency button, and they've brought in a raft of players. I believe Zadorsky was another one they've signed on loan from West Ham. So that's a reunion with manager Rianne Skinner. But Kirsty Lewis, an amazing signing for it. If they're going to stay up, it could be because she comes in and supplies the ammunition for them. Experienced attacking midfielders, I believe. So we played West Ham early in the season at Meadow Park, 3-0. I mean, they were awful. It was just it was ridiculously easy to play against them, and I think a signing like this is badly needed for them, and it gives them a fighting chance. And you have to feel sorry for Bristol City, because they were doing all right. Yes, they're bottom of the league, but they're only behind on goal difference. You think if West Ham suddenly pull away now with the signings they brought in over the winter, it's going to be a bad maybe second half for them, which would be a shame. Should say though, as I was saying, as a double, obviously Lewis's partner Sam Kerr is out for the season with an ACL. Absolutely devastating news. It came over a few days ago that she'd been in a training camp with Chelsea, and the ACL went, and it's yet another one. And it's nothing much to say. We've been through it before. We had 4 last season, 5 again if you include obviously Taya and the men's side, Justin, and now Kaylin. and it's another one. And we've watched a step-by-step one. I've watched step-by-step documentary. I assume you have as well. I'm sure most Arsenal fans have seen it, and you see the pain and suffering that you go through in the trials to just learn how to walk again, to have the operation, learn how to walk again, to do the rehab in the gym, and the long days of just being in the gym, just working on your knee and not even able to go outside, walking crutches, and then having to have your leg rest on the sofa and do the activities. I think this is over like her second or third ACL tear. Definitely not her first. I think she's had a few before she came to Chelsea. I think she's had a few in the past, and it's rotten luck for Chelsea. Now, this is me. I should add, this is me. Arsenal hat off, looking at the league as a neutral, because this is something that you don't. This is not a time for point scoring and Schadenfreude and saying, trying to laugh at people's misfortune because this is ACL. There's no laughing matter. This is nothing to be celebrated. This is awful news for Chelsea. Last season under Emma Hayes, and Sam Kerr played her last game under Emma Hayes when you think about it, and in big occasion, it's going to be Old Trafford, last game of the season for her, and they won't have Sam Kerr. And one thing we haven't spoken about, but we spoke about off air, we should bring up, there is a big international tournament coming up. I believe it's the Gold Cup.
Yes.
A lot of players from, I think it's America, it's USA, Canada.
It's North America.
North America. So, yeah, a lot of players we're going to lose to that. So, Emily Fox, if we sign her, if it does go through, she will likely go there. Chelsea are going to be in a position where their two American forwards will go there. So from, I believe it's, you said 20th of February to 10th of March.
Yes.
During that period, they may not have a striker or a recognised striker. They could probably put a player in there, but all of a sudden their options look a bit thinner. But I fully expect Chelsea, the calibre of players they have and the experience they have, they should have enough to overcome this setback. But it's terrible news for them. And I think we can all say we wish Sam Kerr a very speedy recovery, because it's one of the worst injuries you can get in football, and it's not fair. And it has no. You could be as fit. It just happens. It's one of these sort of freak sort of injuries that happens. It's not that it could be that you're overworked. It could be that mentally you're stressed, or it could just happen. Like in the case of Kaylin, she ran into a football post by accident, and it happened. It's one of those things, and we see in the documentary they're trying to find out what the cause or causes are. So much more research needs to be done. So many things we potentially think could cause it, but it's so multifaceted. It's going to be a while before we sort of know the real truth behind it. But until that time, wish Sam all the best in her rehab and recovery. It's a long process, but looking at the likes of Beth and Viv and Lottie, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think we can also look forward to seeing her play football again soon.
Yes, and just on Crispy Merce, so that people got what I think. To be honest, I am looking forward to it. It does probably mean that we're going to see more US fans probably tuning into the WSL now. I wouldn't be surprised if we would be seeing maybe a DAZN channel sort of rights package thrown in for the next half of the season, just to try and get USA fans a little bit more hooked on, a bit similar to what they do with the Premier League. But it's very much wait and see at this moment in time. But I'm interested to see how it goes. But West Ham as well, not the only sign they made. There's Shalina Zadorsky from Tottenham on loan, a player that Riant Skinner knows fairly well. Katarine Gorey as well from Visjo GIK in Sweden. That was a nice little touch as well. The Australian, going back to that Australian USA link. Did you manage to see that video that they posted just before the little preview?
No, I've not been keeping up as much of transfers as you have, sadly. I saw was she the one that had a child with her, and the fantasy Premier League thing
was in the background.
The fantasy WSL app have made her baby a option, but she's like being coached, not available to like 2030 or 2040 or something. So, invest while they're young.
I think it's great to see that there's a lot of intention of those sort of things. Like it's also like a gimmick, but at the same time, like she's not allowed to be. She won't get minus points or anything like that. I think that was some of the jokes that some of the fans were putting out there. But it's things like that that make it a little bit more fun and more interactive. Like the fact that we've got an app now where we can do fantasy football. We've got this. Oh God, the sticker album. I haven't even
I
mentioned
haven't
that.
been suckered into that. I know a lot of people
No,
have, but I haven't been suckered into that yet,
but
and I will try not to.
let's just say you cannot find any of the sticker packs anywhere. They are completely sold out in the UK. I don't know what the situation is currently across Europe, but you cannot get them full stop in the UK. You go in, they're completely sold out. Great to see, but also if you're a collector, bad thing. But yeah, West Ham are looking for them experience. They got that experience in the midfield now.
Yeah.
I think you kind of look at that and go, well, with all three of those players, you'd perhaps say they'll probably jump up the league a little bit.
You would hope. If I'm brutally honest, I've not seen anything from Ryan Skinner so far since the times of the Spurs and against West Ham that makes you think that. I think if they do stay up, it'd be the quality of the individuals rather than the quality of the manager. The quality of players they have, they should, just by law of averages, go up the table. If they get relegated now, that raises a lot of questions about the club. The only thing I would say about the Mewis signing is, as it should really be a slam dunk. But as I mentioned earlier about American players, not many have shown it. But although in fairness, the closest we've had to American player doing consistently well was Sam Mewis when she played at Man City. She pretty much won them the FA Cup. So I would think if there's a chance that this one could work as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
And again, across London, fortunately, we are just to build it up a little bit. Tottenham have signed 3 players at the moment. They're into talks with a 4th, and that is Nilsson. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's a chance that that's going to happen. Wang Shuang has officially joined the Chinese midfielder. Was my one to watch for in the Women's World Cup for them. It didn't really happen for her, but it'll be interesting to see how she plays in the RBSL. Still fairly young talent, so it'll be interesting to see how she does. She was a free agent as well, so that kind of helps as well. Matilda Vinberg from Han B, another midfielder, and Charlie Grant, again another Australian from Fitzjoe, GIK. So
The Grant signing seemed to have been quite a high profile one. I think there was a lot of people quite excited about that one. So I didn't watch much of the Matildas, and I missed most of the World Cup, unfortunately. But that seemed she's gone to Spurs. You say she's got
yes.
So yeah, I'll be intrigued to see what the hype is about when we see her play next. So that's obviously a one to look out for.
I will just add on to the US because Yanez has also joined Bristol after the incident with Caitlin Marquise, the injury with the ACL.
This is the goalkeeper they brought in. This is the goalkeeper
they brought in. So again, we're apple and pears at the moment because Bristol have a small budget compared to, say, a West Ham, and when you're in relegation scrap, when you can flux that cash, you can bring in those players. Whereas Bristol, the attraction to the club is, I would probably say, more difficult. I've seen a lot of Bristol fans or our Bristol friends suggest that London has a lot of the pull power compared to a Bristol or a Liverpool, which
I should say, as someone who's lived in the West Country, Bristol is a brilliant city. I love Bristol. Bristol is a. Then again, I say it as somebody who loves railways, and it's very much an engineering city. You look at places like Temple Meads and the Clifton Suspension Bridge. It is a place that is, from an engineering perspective, is brilliant. I would say, yeah, Bristol's certainly got its positives, and anybody who chooses to live there would have a great time. But I do understand that London has a lot more notoriety, sadly, and I can understand that being a greater pool. If you want to, rather joining, say, Chelsea or Arsenal or West Ham or Spurs or whatever, London is another great place to live. But I wouldn't say Bristol is not without its perks.
It will. It will. It's just an interesting one because you do
Mm.
look at say if Bristol had the same spending power as a West Ham, would they be able to get in, say, the same amount of same caliber of players? Would they be able to get that international superstar that potentially could drift them up the table? I mean, they
Mm.
have had their own superstars. Let's not forget that in the
Yeah,
past
they've
they've
had
gone
Hemp,
in.
they've had Weir, they've had. There's a few players. If you look at their past history, have played for Bristol City or Bristol Academy, as it may have been named back in the day. So they have had their brush of greatness. They beat Barcelona in the Champions League. Never forget that.
It is definitely one to keep an eye on. I'm gonna have to go on to the next page now. So Leicester have signed a new striker, Yuki
Yep.
Momoko of Leicester. Don't know much, but again, it's more added power for Leicester. Leicester now bouncing up the league table. None of that jittery. Are we going to get relegated? Are we going to stay up? No, yeah, getting
I
into that
think they
mid-table.
need. I think they need maybe two more wins, and I'll be all right. I think on 10 points at the moment, they had a really good start to the season. Form went a bit wobbly towards Christmas. Had that, we beat them 6-2 at the King Power Stadium. Had a few wobbly results, but they're doing okay this season. I think Willie Kirk's done a great job in stabilising them, and as you say, just a few extra players to top them up over the winter, and a decent push in the second half of the season. If they get about 2 wins, maybe 3, they'll be fine. And the mid-table finish for Leicester, that's pretty good.
So I think we'll close with probably the one that will probably carry on going until the summer, unless something happens,
Mm.
and that is the England number one. The the one continuing the
You've
swearing
saved the
in
big,
finals.
you've saved the big one for last. I was thinking, when
Yeah,
are we going to bring this one up? Yes, okay, yeah,
yes,
this is the
Mary
big one.
Ups. For
Mary
those
Earps.
that are kind of wondering, there are question marks over what was going to happen, whether or not she was going to go to Arsenal, was she going to go in January?
Mm.
Um, the January talk from Arsenal has sort of died down. You can kind of understand that because of
Yes.
there's other positions that need filling. There's potential for that to be potentially done in the summer instead. She can now, however, talk to other clubs over in Europe. She's also mentioned that she's now also interested in staying at Manchester United. If I'm honest, my honest opinion, if I was her, I'll probably be eyeing up what Mark Skinner is doing and deciding whether or not you'd stay on based on that alone. A bit similar to how some of the Man City players have decided that because Gareth Taylor's there, they decide no, we're going to move on because of X, Y, Z, not getting the squad, um, not going after the trophies, not being able to live up to expectations. Uh, Marriott deserves to be challenging for titles every season. Unfortunately, it hasn't happened so far, apart from bar last season. She is an excellent goalkeeper now, and you probably think at the age of 30, similar situation as Leo Valdi, don't you think, Adam? The fact that she can probably just make her decision, and no one's really
I
going to
think,
fault her
yeah,
for it.
she's obviously owned the right to be in charge of her own destiny. I think it's maybe what you're sort of leaning towards. I think this is a fascinating one because Mary Earps, ever since Serena Wiegmann made her the England number one, has just skyrocketed into becoming this one of the big figureheads in not just in the England team, but sort of in English sort of popular culture. She has the nickname the Mary Queen of Scots. If you watch Have I Got News for You, there's a picture of her in the back of the studio. She has risen to notoriety, which is incredible. It does help saving a penalty in the World Cup final. That will do that for you. And obviously now won BBC Sports Personality of the Year, which is sort of big congratulations for that as well. And I think the problem is having the idea of having Mary Earps is very popular, if that makes sense. But I think people like Mary Earps. I think people like the idea of having Mary Earps as their number one goalkeeper. And I think when the news broke in the summer that Arsenal were interested in that, I think wrongly, I can understand why. I think a lot of people just instinctively thought, right, we're going to sign a Mary Earps. Mary Earps is coming to Arsenal because of what happened with Russo, because of the whole Russo saga that started in the winter and cascaded through to the end of the season and eventually signed Russo for, oh, fantastic, we're going to sign Mary Earps. Mary Earps going to go. How amazing that's going to be. forgetting that they have a world-class goalkeeper already in Manuela Zinsberger, Austria #1, and she's really good. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that Manu is a really good goalkeeper. And unfortunately, saying Manu is a good goalkeeper has never been the popular take. And it's baffling. I'm not saying it's cool to diss her, but I don't think that enough of the fan base respects just what a great goalkeeper she is. I don't think it helped her in the first season. I think she didn't have a great first season. I think she struggled to settle in the team in the first season. It took a while for her to integrate the team. I think we've seen the best of her under Jonas. She is the #1 goalkeeper. There was a sort of argument of will it be Sabs or Bill Turner. I think Jonas has put all his chips on Manu now, and she is the #1 goalkeeper. We know that she's going to contract's going to run out in the season, and I think it's a shame that a lot of people have just basically treated Mary Earps as, oh, we're going to sign her, so bring her in as quick as possible and get rid of Manu. I think that's a real shame. I think with Man United, Mark Skinner, I think his contract is up at the end of the season. I know he's not. I think they're honestly not popular. There are corners of the Man United fan base who maybe don't believe that he should be the manager. There was an incident that happened in pre-season, which has caused a bit of a stir about how that view is maybe being expressed and maybe should not be expressed. That's another podcast. But I think if Mark Skinner goes at the end of the season, if let's say his contract renewed, that might convince someone at Earps to think, oh, well, actually, I'll see who's coming in. And if it's someone I would like to play under, then I'll stick around. But I wouldn't be surprised if she went to Europe. And I think a lot of the noise around her maybe going to Arsenal, I think a lot of that was agency driven. I think a lot of that was agents trying to encourage somebody to come and to get buy her out. But I don't think Man United would ever sell her. We should say that Earps has recently changed her agency, which I think that is a sign, if anything, like warning flags. This player wants to move. I think you could probably read into that. If I was a betting man, I think she moves to Europe next season. I think she moves to, let's say, she's played for Wolfsburg already. She was there before she came to Man United. I think she could go to somewhere like I think PSG were touted. I think it's one of the names in the rumours. I think
PSG are the strong favourites at the moment, and Barcelona have been also linked.
So that mean Barcelona. That would be another one if they'd go there. But I think a PSG, a Lyon, a Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Wolfsburg. There are, again, we spoke about Leah Valti earlier. Any club will be lucky to have Mary Earps. She's a quality keeper, but I would also say age is a factor as well. As you say, I think she's in her 30s now.
She's just turned 30, yeah.
She's just turned 30. So if you think about it in terms of peaks and troughs, I know goalkeepers go on a bit longer, but you are buying a keeper that is probably at their peak. So they're only going to lose value after you sign them. They're not, you're not going to, I know players aren't about profit and loss like on the men's side, but you've got a goalkeeper that it's not going to get, I'm not going to say get worse immediately, but they're not going to get any better. So you're buying them locked in at probably their best standard for the next, say, 2 to 3 years. And then you've got to think about, who to sign next. I don't think I think it depends what happens in the summer. If Mark Skinner stays, or if they get a manager that they don't rate, or if Mary Earps is quite frankly had enough, like so many other players have sadly, like so obviously Russo, chucked it in last summer. I could see her leaving, but I can't see Arsenal signing her. Certainly not in this winter window. If we did end up signing her, say Manu leaves at the end of the season, and we think we're going to go, maybe then, and maybe we'll sign her in the summer on a free, like with Russo. I definitely can't see it happening in the winter window, and I think she will be with Manchester United until the end of the season. I can't see Man United selling her because I know they've got this other keeper that's come in, but they hadn't really integrated properly into the first team. I think she's been a few Conti Cup ties, but Mary Earps has been the #1 keeper. And Man United are going to keep paying the Cardiff. We're going to keep her on. We're going to sign the contract, keep her on. We're going to extend the contract, etc., etc. And then we'll get to the season, and Mary Earps won't sign the contract, and then she'll probably depart. And that's the way I think I can see it playing out.
Just on this, I think you're right, Adam. I don't think it's going to be a January. I think it will probably, if it's going to be a January signing, it'll be a January pre-contract agreement. And if that's the case, then it's Europe. It won't be England. Essentially, English clubs can hold contract talks after January, because
So,
well, the
well, no,
window.
what it will be, what it is, you can negotiate with a pre-contract with a club outside the WSL.
Yeah.
But within the WSL, you have to wait until the contract expires, which will be at in June the 30th. Like with the Russo, it'll be the Russo saga all over again. You've got to wait until we hit the magic date when the contract expires, and then go, you're in. So, but again, it's a waiting game. You've got to wait. You've got to wait and hope that nobody else do what we did with Kaya Cooney Cross and puts the money down. But I think with Man United, they don't sell players. They won't, because they're too afraid, because they know if they sell Mary Earps, they fall onto a very good keeper, we should say, the backup keeper, but she's not fully integrated in the first team, and that would take time. So I think they would weaken themselves and strengthen a rival if they sold Earps to, say, I don't know, Man City or Arsenal or Chelsea. It would make no sense. So I think Earps will be there, and then she'll go on free in the summer.
I've just on like a little mini prediction thing. I just have a feeling that come the summer, we're probably going to see a couple of dominoes fall. The first one has been Emma Hayes. So and then now whatever happens with Emma Hayes and that in whoever comes in at Chelsea, I wouldn't be surprised if that we might see Man City also move on from Gareth Taylor as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Skinner also does end up leaving.
I think Skinner and Taylor will both go.
So that with that, there's a lot of manager movement. There's a lot of it's going to be domino after domino effect. And if Mary Earps is going to be the transfer that starts the transfer window, let's say domino effect, it will be a huge one, because then you look, oddly enough, a lot of the goalkeepers around Europe and across the WSL as well, their contracts are up at the end of the season. It's not just Mary Earps.
I think you mentioned, I think there's going to be like a merry-go-round, like musical chairs. Suddenly all the goalkeepers are going to stand up from their clubs, put them into a shaker, and then spin it back out again, and they're all going to different chairs. And Mary Earps will be, I don't know, in I don't know, Bayern Munich or something, and Eddie Roebuck will be at Chelsea. Hannah Hampton will come off the bench, go to, I don't know, say Arsenal, and then every goalkeeper will change positions, and along the, and was it Froms, and I think there's another one, she'll go somewhere else. It'll just be carnage. I think the manager. I think there's going to be a lot of managerial changes rather. I believe you've already. I think you said we're off camera. The Barcelona manager,
yes,
who some of us were fearing was going to go to Chelsea's gone to Washington Spirit. Was it the name of the club? So he's gone there. So we now have no idea who the Chelsea manager is going to be. I think we all have our own hopes on who the manager would be. I think our hopes are going to be very different to who Chelsea are going to be. Chelsea fans are going to be hoping for the Spirit that way. So that's going to, and again, new manager at Chelsea, new manager at Man United, new manager at Man City, providing Skinner and Taylor move on if their contracts aren't renewed. You've got three clubs without a manager, and no idea who they could be. You're looking at three clubs who could be in a lot of turbulence unless they get the planning in nice and early. Arsenal, fair play to them. When Joe Montemurro left, they knew early on he was going to leave. They got the process of getting a new manager in, and they got the new manager in very quickly the moment Joe Montemurro left at the end of the season, and they got the wheels kept spinning. They didn't drop beat. In fact, they got better. They almost won the league the next season. Don't know what's going to happen with the other clubs, especially the Manchester clubs. So I think you're right. I think our transfer zone episodes might get a bit spicier next summer. I think I'm looking forward to it. I think it could be a bit of fun.
Yes, and we'll just say that it's been fantastic to be talking about these transfers. I know we haven't stuck to the Arsenal content as we usually do. It's just at this moment in time, because there's so little to talk about, we're gonna have to talk about a little bit more, which is kind of good because you're getting to learn a little bit more about some of the other clubs and what they've done as well. But also when some of these players are actually going to be great to talk about and got to find out more about. I'm looking forward to seeing what Yuko Mamiki can do at Leicester, for example. I'm sure a lot of people will be probably looking at Gory at West Ham and Christy Mewis as well at West Ham, and we'll just wait and see what happens. It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and whether or not the wheels on certain teams' bikes fall off or end up going in needing a quick repair, it's very much a wait and see situation. But it all comes into fruition with the FA Cup starting this week, and then next weekend the WSL starts. So we might actually get to see what teams actually need come these next 2 weeks.
I think a lot of these as well. I think it's a good point. Is you're not some of these decisions on buys won't just be because of what they plan over the winter. Think right, okay, when the winter opens, we need to get this player in, we need to get a forward in, we need to get a defender on. Well, a new right back, goalkeeper's a key option. A lot of it is we're in a lot of trouble here. We've had a freak injury that's happened at the beginning of January, and we've lost our main striker. Or we're in really bad form. Our defence has got shot to pieces. We need reinforcements, and then you get the old last day of the window panic buy. We've seen it on the men's side. We could probably think of a few panic buys in January, with mixed results. I think, we had it. I mean, we had it last season with the women's team, and we tried to get 4 different strikers in. We tried to get in. I think it came to Dabina, Chloe Lacasse, Alessia Russo, and Senior Brun.
I thought it was Jessica Silva as well was in the mix at one point.
Oh, maybe her as well. I don't know. That's fine.
I think that was towards the start of January, but it didn't work.
We didn't get any of them. So we had a whole transfer window. We got some other players. We should say we got Palova in as well, and Molekul, and they're great. And we brought Gio back. But no, we didn't get in the key one. The extra forward, and that was one of the many things that cost us. So we'll see what happens. Maybe there'll be some last minute deadline drama. Claire Wheatley might, try and do something crazy. We shall wait and see.
And that concludes the Transfer Zone Winter Edition for the first time, and that is great to see. I see you once again, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Where can people find you?
Yep, good to see you, Matt. Good to see the first Transfer Zone. We're hopefully got a few more winter editions coming up as news evolves. Yes, if you want to follow me on the Twitter sphere, you can follow me at Adam Salter 4. You can also follow me there for my various writings on Sporting Her. I should also say the Arsenal Women Archive is back up and running. There are more clips being dropped, so do keep an eye out for that. There are more. There's one that dropped earlier today. If you want to see some Arsenal games and highlights from the past, do give that account a follow, and get a random clip every now and then when the computer says so.
You can follow Lottie, who unfortunately isn't here, is at Lottie _AWFC. You can also follow us on VAW Pod, and you can also follow myself at MattLR28. This has been Vic Akers Wonderland. Thank you for joining us, and can't wait for you to join us once again when we talk about the Watford game. See you later. Bye.
Mm-hmm.